हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। आज हम लोग डिस्कस करने वाले हैं द नेशनल कमीशन फॉर शेड्यूल कास्ट। ठीक है, इट इज़ अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी इन द सेंस दैट इट इज़ डायरेक्टली established बाय आर्टिकल 338 of the constitution. On the other hand, the other national commissions like National Commissions for Women 1992, National Commission for Minorities 1993, and the National Commission for Backward Class 1993, and National Human Rights Commission 1993, and the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights 2007 are statutory bodies in the sense that they are established by Act of Parliament. Now got it? Now you can understand the difference between the constitutional body and the statutory body. Constitutional body directly established by the constitution, and the statutory body established by the act of the parliament. The act which is passed by the both houses of the parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, that's become an act, and the body become is called statutory body. ठीक, and these are the statutory bodies, and this is the constitutional body, National Commission for SCs. Okay, evolution of commission. इसका एवोल्यूशन कैसे हुआ? ओरिजिनली आर्टिकल 338 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्रोवाइडेड फॉर अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ स्पेशल ऑफिसर फॉर शेड्यूल कास्ट एंड शेड्यूल ट्राइब्स टू इन्वेस्टिगेट ऑल मैटर्स रिलेटिंग टू द constitutional safeguard for SCs and STs, report to the president on their working. He was designated as the commissioner for SCs and STs assigned to said duty. In 1978, government through resolution set up a non-statutory multi-member commission for SCs and STs. Office of Commissioner for SCs and STs also continue to exist. और फिर 1987 में क्या हुआ था? गवर्नमेंट थ्रू अनदर रेजोल्यूशन मॉडिफाइड द फंक्शन ऑफ कमीशन एंड रीनेम्ड इट्स एज नेशनल कमीशन फॉर SC एंड STs. लेटर बाद में क्या हुआ? 65th कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्ट जब आया 1990 में, प्रोवाइडेड फॉर द इस्टेब्लिशमेंट ऑफ हाई लेवल multi-member national commission for SC and ST in place of single special officer for SC and ST. This constitutional body replaced the commission for SC and ST as well as the commission set up under the resolution of 1987. Again 89th कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट एक्ट ऑफ 2003 में नवासी संशोधन आया, नवासी नंबर, bifurcated the combined national commission for SC and ST into two separate bodies, namely National Commission for Scheduled Caste Article 338 and National Commission for Scheduled Tribes Article 338A, separate 2003 में. ठीक है, याद रखना 89th कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट एक्ट के थ्रू. Separate National Commission for SC came into existence in 2004. It consists of chairperson, a vice chairperson, and 3 other members. They are appointed by the president by warrant under this hand and seal. Their condition for service and tenure of office are also determined by the president. Functions to investigate and monitor all matters relating to the constitutional and other legal safeguard for SCs and evaluate their working. To inquiry into specific complaints respect to deprivation of rights, safeguard SCs. To participate and advise on the planning process of socio-economic development of SCs. To present to the president annually at such times that it may deem fit reports upon the working of those safeguards. To make recommendation as to measures that should be taken by union or state. To discharge such other function in relation to the protection, welfare and development for SCs. Reports. The commission present an annual report to the president. It can also be submit report as and when it thinks necessary. President places all such reports before the parliament along with the memorandum explaining action taken on the recommendation made by the commission. President also forward any report of the commission pertaining to state government. Powers of the commission. Summoning and enforcing the attendance of any person from any part of India and examining him on oath. Requiring the discovery, production of any document, receiving evidence on affidavits, re-questioning any public record from any court or office, issuing summons for examination of witness and documents. Central government and the state government are required to consult commission on all major policy matters affecting the SCs. Let's talk about the National Commission for STs. Like the National Commission for SC, National Commission for STs is also constitutional body in the sense that it is directly established by Article 338A of the Constitution. Separate Commission for STs, National Commission for STs and STs came into being consequent upon passing of 65th Constitutional Amendment Act 1990. The commission was established under Article 338 of the Constitution with objective monitoring all the safeguards provided for SCs and STs. Geographically and culturally, STs are different from SCs and their problems are also different from SCs. 1999, a new Ministry Tribal Affairs was created to provide a sharp focus to welfare and development of STs. Hence, in order to safeguard the interest of STs effectively, it was proposed to set up a separate National Commission for STs, bifurcating existing combined National Commission. And 89th Constitutional Amendment Act 2003. This act further amended Article 338, inserted a new Article 338A. Functions: to investigate and monitor all matters relating to the constitutional and legal safeguard of STs, to inquire into specific complaints, to participate, advise and planning process, to present President annually report, to make recommendation of the measures that should be taken by union or state government. Other functions: 2005, the President specified the following other functions of the Commission in relation to the protection, welfare and development of advancement of the STs. Measures to be taken over conferring ownership rights in respect of minor forest produce. Measures to be taken to safeguard rights of tribal communities over mineral resources, water resources, etc. Development of tribals and to work for more viable livelihood strategies. Improve the efficacy of relief rehabilitation measures for tribal groups displaced by development projects. Prevent alienation of tribal people from land to the effectively habilitate. Elicit maximum co-creation, alienation maximum cooperation and involvement of tribal communities for protecting forest, undertaking social afforestation. Ensure full implementation of provisions of Panchayat. Extension to the Scheduled Areas Act 1996. Reports: annual report to the President, and President present to the Parliament with a memorandum, same as SCs. Power of the Commission: summoning and enforcing attendance to any person, requiring discovery and protection of any document, same as SCs. Okay, let's talk about the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. This is the very most important topics regarding the central exams, state exams, and other exams also. The Constitution of India, Article 148, provides for an independent office of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, in short, CAG. He is the head of the Indian Audit and Accounts Departments. He is the guardian of the public purse and controls the entire financial system of country at both the level, central and the state. His duty is to uphold Constitution of India and law of Parliament in the field of financial administration. This is the reason why Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that CAG shall be the most important officer under the Constitution of India. He is one of the bulwark of the democratic system of government in India. The other being Supreme Court, Election Commission and Union Public Service Commission. इनसे भी important body CAG. Appointment and term. CAG is appointed by the President of India by warrant under his hand and seal. The CAG, before taking over his office, makes subscribe before the President an oath. This is the oath. He hold office for a period of 6 years or up to age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. He can resign any time from his office by addressing the resignation letter to the President. He can also be removed by the President on same ground and in the same manner as a judge of the Supreme Court. In other words, he can be removed by the President on the basis of resolution passed to that effect by both the Houses of Parliament with special majority, either on the grounds of proved misbehavior or incapacity. Independence: he is provided with the security of tenure. He can be removed by the President only in accordance with the procedure mentioned in the Constitution. Thus, he does not hold his office till the pleasure of the President, though he is appointed by him. He is not eligible for further office, either under the government of India or any state ceases to hold his office. His salary and other services conditions are determined by the parliament. His salary is equal to that of judge of the Supreme Court. Neither his salary nor his rights in respect of leave of absence, pension, or age of retirement can be altered to his disadvantage after his appointment. The condition of service of persons serving in the Indian Audit and Accounts Department and administrative powers of CAG are prescribed by the President after consultation with CAG. Administration expenses of Office of CAG, including all salaries, allowance, and pensions of persons serving in that office, are charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India. Duties. Constitution Article 149 authorizes the Parliament to prescribe the duties and powers of the CAG in relation to the accounts of Union, of the state, and of other authority. Accordingly, Parliament enacted the CAG's Duties, Power and Conditions Service Act 1971. This act was amended in 1976. The duties and functions of the CAG laid down the following by the Parliament and the Constitution. He audits the account related to all expenditures from Consolidated Fund of India, Consolidated Fund of each state, and Consolidated Fund of each union territory having a legislative assembly. He audits all expenditure from Contingency Fund of India, Public Accounts of India, as well as subsidiary account kept by department of the central government and state government. He audits the receipt and expenditure of center and each state to satisfy him that the rules and procedure in that behalf are designed to secure an effective check, assessment, collection, and proper. He audits the receipt and expenditure of following all bodies and authorities substantially financed from the central or state revenues, government companies, other corporation bodies required by related laws. He audits all transactions of central and state government related to debt, sinking fund, deposit advances, and he also audits receipt, stock accounts, and other with approval of the president. He audits the accounts of any other authority when requested the president or governor, for example, audit of local bodies. He advises the president with regard to prescriptions form, Article 150. He advises the president with regard to prescriptions of the form in which the accounts of central and state shall be kept. He submit his audit report relating to the accounts of center to president, who shall in turn place them before both the houses of parliament. Article 151. He submit his audit reports relating to the accounts of state to governor, who shall be turn place them before the state legislature. Article 151. He ascertains and certify the net proceed any tax or duty. 279 article. His certify is final. The net proceed means the proceed of tax or duty minus the cost of collection. He acts as a guide and friend and philosopher of the Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament. He compiles them and maintains the accounts of state government. In 1976, he was relieved of his responsibility with regard to the compilation and maintenance of accounts of central government due to the separation of account from audit. CAG submits three audit reports to the President: audit report on appropriation accounts, audit reports on finance accounts, and audit reports on public undertaking. President lays these reports before both houses of parliament. After this, the Public Accounts Committee examines them, reports and finding out to parliament. The role of CAG is uphold the Constitution of India, laws of parliament and field of financial administration. The CAG is an agent of parliament and conduct audit of expenditure on behalf of parliament. Therefore, he is responsible only to the parliament. The CAG has more freedom with regard to audit of expenditure than with regard to audit of receipt, stores, and stock. CAG has to ascertain whether money shown in the accounts having been disbursed was legally available for and applicable to service or the purpose to which they have been applied or charged. ठीक है. Let's talk about Attorney General of India. The Constitution Article 76 has provided for the office of Attorney General of India. He is the highest law officer in the country. Appointment and term. The Attorney General is appointed by the President. He must be a person who is qualified to be appointed as judge of the Supreme Court. In other words, he must be a citizen of India and must have been judge of the High Court or 5 years or advocate of some High Court 10 years. The term of office of AG is not fixed by the Constitution. This means that he may be removed by the President. Duties and functions. To give advice to the Government of India and such legal matters, to perform such other duties and legal characters assigned by him by the President, to discharge the function conferred on him by the Constitution, to appear on behalf of the Government of India, all cases Supreme Court in which the Government of India is concerned. He should not advise or hold a brief against the Government of India. He should not advise or hold brief in cases which he is called upon to advise or appear for Government of India. He should not defend accused person in criminal prosecution without permission of the Government of India. He should not accept appointment as a director in any company or corporation without the permission of the Government of India. Solicitor General of India. In addition to the AG, there are other law officials of the Government of India. They are the Solicitor General of India and Additional Solicitor General of India. They assist AG in fulfillment of his official responsibility. He should be noted here that only the office of the AG is created by the Constitution. In other words, Article 76 does not mention about Solicitor General and Additional Solicitor General. AG is not the member of Central Cabinet. There is a separate law minister in the Central Cabinet to look after legal matters at the government level. ओके, आज के लिए इतना ही। मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट टॉपिक में, तब तक के लिए धन्यवाद। थैंक यू।